Pranakasha live stream.
Hey folks, it's Matt at Pranakasha Productions, and today we have the great good fortune of interviewing Justin Perry, otherwise known as Just Jenus Art.
Hello,
So Justin, this is the first time we've actually talked. This is another one of these things where we meet on Twitter and we know each other from tweeting at each other and a few direct messages, but other than that, we finally meet face to face.
Just good vibes, man. Good vibes, my friend. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
I feel like I see you a lot because I look at your YouTube and I look at your interviews and stuff. But yeah, it's funny how that works now. This is like a new thing that I think a lot of people go into where they have these virtual relationships. You know, I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast. Physically, we probably would have never ran into each other unless we met at a con or something.
Yeah, it's true. And you're like, so you're in New York, or where on the East Coast are you?
I'm in North Carolina. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I didn't know that you did so much Star Trek art. So
I've been trying to pump it up, especially that's a COVID term. So I was actually in hospitality before I became a full-time artist. So I always had my art business the last couple of years, building up, doing commissions, doing original works. But right before COVID, I was dedicating more and more time to become a full-time artist. And then once it settled in and the layoff started, and it was just the perfect time, and I just went full ahead. And that's how I met a lot of online groups. I've actually never been to a con before. I was one of those closet Star Trekkies who just thought they were the only Star Trek fan in the world because you get so used to your family kind of sort of not really being into it or not finding people into it as quickly, right? Wow. So I just watched TNG, Deep Space Nine, watch what I watch in my own little clusters and my own little marathons, and got my own head canon and watching YouTube of Vegas and other cons, but never been to one until COVID. And the virtual cons came out, and that's how I started to kind of meet other folks. And I found my virtual ship, the USS Gerard Holder, and found a whole community of other Trekkies who kind of thought the same thing, that they were alone, and realized that it's just so many of us that really, really love Star Trek.
Oh, that's exciting. So that's your ship then. That T-shirt you have is your ship.
Yes. So we are the USS Gerard Holder. I'm actually a lieutenant, junior grade, and chief of security. They call me the constable. And yeah, thank you. And it's really community service. We get together. We of course do fan events. We go to cons. We promote representation about EDIC is our main concern. Making sure that diversity is in Star Trek, diversity is also in the fandom of Star Trek, high visibility, but also us as Trekkies going out into the real world, quote unquote, and doing community service, donating coats, organizing volunteering services, and going in as cosplay, wearing our uniforms and such.
Wow, that's great.
They're very fun.
Wow. I'm torn because in the real world, I was in the Air Force, and I don't know if you can see this, but I was a staff sergeant, but that means I was enlisted. So if you're a lieutenant, then I have to, yes, sir.
Okay. No, I got to do this. Thank you for your service.
But then if I'm a character, Captain Hardinger, then I'm a captain, and then I'm like, Lieutenant, get this done. So I can't decide which side I should address you from.
Let's keep it Trek, man. Let's keep it Star Trek, baby.
All right, Lieutenant. Yes. So, like, could we see a schematic of your ship?
Yeah, I actually have it. I don't know if you can let me share screen, or if you want me to email it to you real quick and then you pop it open.
Yeah, you can email it to me and I can show it. Or if you so you don't have it in physical form, you can just show it to us.
No. So what we use is the model of the USS of the Centaur. Excuse me.
Okay.
So the Gerard Holder is actually the Centaur. You've seen it on Deep Space Nine. It belonged to one of the captains was Captain Charlie Reynolds, and that
Okay.
was the episode where they were trying to get behind enemy lines with the Jem'Hadar ship. And
Okay.
while they were going, they got kind of caught by one of their own, a Federation ship. So that model is actually the model that we use. So it's a wonderful ship, very powerful. It's a frigate. It's made to go into battle and be a supportive element, but it's also pretty big. It's 10 decks. It can hold almost 200 people. 40 photon torpedoes. We
Ooh,
got
40.
3 phasers. Yes, we got 3 shuttlecrafts. And the cool thing about the Centaur is that we have a shuttle launcher on our saucer section.
That's
And
cool.
that, it's like, it gives it this like, kind of like military insertion type look. So you kind of warp in, shoot off a shuttlecraft, warp out, the shuttlecraft goes in, and we kind of just like the look of it. It was always an awesome ship. It has these really long nacelles. It's very powerful. It cruises at warp 6, and its highest
Okay.
warp setting is warp 9.5.
9.5. Well, Lieutenant, I just enabled your ability to share a screen so we could attempt that. This will be a first
Okay.
for my show where a guest actually shares something live via Zoom, shares a screen.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm a visual artist, so I got a lot to share. So thank you so much. Let me see if I can get to my photos. And I was sending an email, but here we go. And then I'll get to where it is in the photos in the ships. So it's been really cool. Okay, here we go. And then I'm gonna just go ahead and load it up and then comment to y'all.
Acquiring signal. Oh, yeah.
Terrific.
Okay. I also spied a book back there that might be worth talking about.
Oh, yes.
Oh, sharing screen. Okay. Oh, I see. Ooh.
So this is the Centaur. So this is more or less the USS Gerard Holder ship. As you can see, the class is a frigate. Pretty cool. The nacelles, the whole look of it.
Wow. So this, what era is this? Is this Discovery era or is this TNG or when is this?
This is Deep Space Nine and post Deep Space Nine.
Okay.
So our uniforms for the ship is actually Picard, to kind of give it that segue, but the majority of uniforms will be that Deep Space Nine, that black and gray look that you see at the end in like season 7, going into kind of what you see now with Picard and such. So we're kind of like in that in between.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool looking.
Thank
so
you.
Who created that art? That was digital art, right?
That was just digital art that I kind of got off Memory Alpha.
Okay.
I'm working on a couple of art pieces revolving around the Centaur and the USS Gerard Holder that kind of have that more 3D, to have that more physical aspect of the ship. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And then you showed me before we actually started recording, you showed me a sketch of a I think it was a Constitution class.
Absolutely. So this is an example of something I was still doing, but I was definitely doing over COVID, was take home art kits. And I was just sketching out different things that people were interested in. I was like, why am I not drawing the Enterprise? I'm a Trekkie. I need to do more Star Trek art. This one I actually gave to my dad, but he was actually not able to finish it. So I was like, okay, let me get it back.
Can you put it closer to the camera? I just want to see it a little bit more.
Here we go.
Nice. So that, I just have a question. So did you just do that out of your head? Like, it's interesting because the perspective's interesting, like how the saucer section's a little closer to the lens. So, I'm sure you did
I
that on
definitely
purpose, right?
use reference photos,
Oh,
especially
okay.
when it's something as familiar as the Enterprise. If I was just drawing a ship, I would just kind of do my own thing, but I would still kind of use reference photos if I was looking for a particular style. But I
Okay.
definitely had a picture of the Enterprise that I was looking at. It was probably either on my iPad or my phone, and I
Okay.
probably just blew it up, and I'm just sitting there looking at it, sketching it, looking at it, sketching it, looking at it,
Okay.
sketching it.
So it was
I'm
that
a
exact
yeah.
shot, or did you kind of
Yeah.
uh
I think it actually does kind of have an error. I
well,
think
it's
I
not an
actually
error,
did.
it's just a stylistic thing where how the you see how the
Yeah,
saucer
it worked
section
out well, I think. Yeah.
expand. It looks cool, actually. I like it.
I
That's
definitely enjoy it. And
in
so
fact, the thing is when I look at it, can I see that one more time?
my
Because
pleasure.
like just the way it's done, there's some subtle exaggeration in some of the ways, just the way the angle was done. And I'm just, it was that in the actual picture, or is that something that you added just out of your artistic sense?
The angle of the ship, how it was porting, that was definitely from the reference. But in terms of what you're saying, how the saucer turned out, that was definitely probably a piece of me. Like if you can see how the easel is now, doing
Yeah,
something like this and kind of doing the back and forth.
right,
So it's a bit of both. It's more of the reference picture and it being in that position in the picture, but it's
right.
also the combo of it being slanted. And I'm looking at a device and I'm looking at the photo and kind of
Right.
going back, kind of
Can I
going
say
back.
it one more time? Because see, what I'm
Absolutely.
picking up from it is that there's a kind of a comic book quality to it, but there's also
Yes.
I don't know how to explain it, but there's like a kind of a humor, or there's like a happiness that's coming through that picture. And it's just very subtle, but there's just the way that the angles are and everything. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I definitely believe in energy. I was absolutely probably watching Star Trek. So I was definitely very happy. My space was full of art and creation. So my home was very happy. So that definitely would translate. It definitely was I think TOS, or
Yeah.
excuse me,
Yeah.
TAS, the animated series.
Oh, it was the
So that
animated
maybe to
series.
explain the reason to the comic style
Oh,
of it,
okay.
because I was looking
Okay.
at an animated series photo of it.
Okay. Maybe. Okay. So some of that spirit's come through too.
Yeah, because it freed me up because I was like, okay, they're drawing it in a way that I can definitely duplicate that, but
Okay.
looking at I guess you would call it the more digital version, the show version,
Hmm.
it's actually like a actual ship. So it would take more time. So I was like, I was looking for something in the middle. So that
Okay.
comic style that you're pointing out is coming from the animated series.
Okay. All right. Though it seems, to tell you the truth, it seems more sophisticated than the animated series.
The animated
Also.
series was really drawn well.
Uh-huh.
I explored a lot. That was one of the first kind of like first meetups and first like bonding that we had as a ship. And
Okay.
so I revisit the animated series a lot just because of those happy feelings and those good times.
Okay.
And even on the first watch through, I was like, I really like the style and I like the look of the entire series. I really enjoyed
Wow.
it.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. Wow, that's neat. Yeah, most of my experience with the animated series is actually I read a whole bunch of Alan Dean Foster's Star Trek log books. Have you ever heard of those?
Mhm.
They're Star Trek books, and there's a bunch of them. I think there's 10, and each one has 3 episodes from the animated series in it. But written in book form. He took the scripts and then he rewrote them in a novel type of form, and so
Cool.
he adds some details to it, and the stories are really good. And he's a great
Yes.
writer. He was a
Yes.
famous writer too. Anyhow,
Okay.
so that's most of my animated series comes from reading those Star Trek logs, and I was a kid and I didn't really realize that they were I didn't connect the cartoon Star Trek with these books until like several years later when a friend of mine pointed it out to me. And I was like, oh, That's what animated means. Animated means cartoon.
Right, right.
But I don't know. I was like 11 and it didn't click for some reason.
I understand.
Yeah.
Star Trek didn't click right away for me. My dad was a huge fan. He watched it a lot. But I couldn't get into TNG right away. I definitely couldn't get into to TOS at that age. But what I got into was the movies. So when the movies started to roll out, it was around my age. I was probably around that same age, like 10 or 11, when like Generations and Nemesis and First Contact started rolling out. And I was like, okay, I like this. I already knew, was somewhat familiar with folks, but I was definitely a rookie because I remember saying like, "Where's Tasha Yar? Why is Tasha Yar not in these movies?" So I realized that, you know, it was like, okay, I wasn't watching the show, but I loved the movies. And when I got older, I found a job in hospitality, and I was working third shift. That's where a lot of my art came from. That more recently, a couple of years ago, was being in the middle of the night. The hotel is quiet. One or two people come in, but after a certain time, it's just nobody there, but maybe a security guard and computers, and you're doing accounting, and you know, you're finishing the day, you're turning the day over. And then once that happens, the system goes into like a lockdown. You're pretty much just standing there. So anytime you hear that from a hotel person in the middle of the night, they actually are telling the truth. And so that time I was like, okay, I truly got a solid hour. And literally they would be like, hey, you can study for a graduate school, and you can, you know, do this or do that, or, you know, take your time off. And BBC would start their TNG run through around that time. So it was wonderful. So I already knew that I would get one Star Trek episode as a break every shift. And I got back into it. And that's how I got back into TNG, binge watched everything, came and found Voyager. That was actually my dad's favorite, was Voyager. He loves Captain Janeway. And then finding Deep Space Nine. And then finding all of the other movies, the TOS movies, and just kind of, and I started to really become more of an actual Trekkie.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I really I'm kind of old school because I started with TOS, the original series, when I was in third grade. I was like 8 years old, and they were doing it as reruns after school. So every day after school, I'd come home and I'd watch it. And so by the end of third grade, I'd watched all the episodes, and I knew everything about Star Trek. And then I would say, so that's still my favorite. But then my second favorite is actually Deep Space Nine. So I really dig that.
I would say Deep Space Nine is now my current favorite. Even with, I like Disco. I really enjoyed the new season that just came out Thursday or yesterday.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
Love Prodigy, you know, and so I'm loving the new track that's out. Love Lower Deck. So love Picard. And so, you know, I'm loving the new track, but Deep Space Nine is something I still go to and continuously find, even though it was made quite a while ago, continuously find something new, a new angle, a new relevation, something just coming at me like, oh, I didn't think of it that way the first time I saw it, or the fourth time I saw it, you know. So definitely the favorite. A lot of my art now, my current art has been with Deep Space Nine. So you can see, have a digital print here. I call that Ben and Jake. Cisco and Jake Cisco here.
Okay, yeah.
And then this is also one of my renditions of Jake Cisco. Another one of Ben that I'm working on, trying to finish. And
great.
Yeah. Deep Space Nine is definitely, I love it all, but Deep Space Nine is still the number one.
Sirach Lofton, who plays Jake, he was at Star Trek Las Vegas that I went to. So that was a lot of fun. I got to talk to him, and
very cool.
He had a table in the vendor's room, and he's a really cool guy.
Yes.
Yeah. There were actually quite a few actors there.
So I see him, and I love his personality, and I love that he's kind of like a new Trekkie as well, getting into things that he's done a couple decades ago. So I can tell the energy is awesome. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah, he's neat. Yeah, there were so many people there too. It was exciting. Wow. Okay. So I wish I could see. Well, those are pinned to the wall, right? So you can't take them off and show them to us, right?
Yeah, I could get a little.
Okay.
Yeah, if you
Oh
want to go
no.
into it.
Ah.
Here we go. I know, right?
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah,
this is
that's
like a
Jake.
nice little early Jake. Just kind of the background's kind of like an abstract, but just kind of busted out a sketch of him. And the background kind of is like an inspiration from one of his outfits or one of his vests and shirts, you know, the colors and stuff.
Nice.
And let's see. This is the digital print. So the original is sold. So my the captain of my ship actually bought the original of this. And this is a digital print. So these are for sale. Anyone that's interested, visit justgeniusart.com. I have awesome Star Trek art for sale all the time. And this just came out wonderfully. I love baseball growing up. And like I said, my dad is a big influence. So when I make my Star Trek art, I like it to still mean something. You know, I'm an artist. So I just don't want to necessarily just draw something. I want to, you know, emulate something. So this is definitely a take on Black Boy Joy. You know, so Rock Lofton's smile is contagious. It's a beautiful smile.
Right.
This moment here is a moment that me and my dad share plenty of times. He was either my coach or assistant coach when I played baseball and rec leagues and stuff.
Oh,
So
cool.
victories or losses, like, you know, I definitely know what's going on here. But I just like the subtlety of this piece because it just kind of comes off as a baseball piece. But
Yeah.
if you know your Trek, you know what's going on. You see the Niners, you see the hat. If you look a little closer, you can even see a Vulcan back there. If you look
Oh
at his
yeah.
ears,
Yeah.
you know, but it's just kind of like not taken away from the father-son moment there.
Right.
And this, like I said, this piece here of actually been kind of like dragging. I actually sketched it out a while back, and I'm coming back to it once I finish some commissions. I think I want to turn it into kind of like a collage art. I really enjoy mixed media art.
Oh, okay.
And so I was thinking of doing this in a collage style, kind of like a representation of the Negro Leagues, and kind of like, okay, what was he thinking about? He got this ball. It meant victory to him. You know, he's got that smile. The happiness is coming. I'm like, okay, so is he thinking of Jackie Robinson? Is he thinking of Willie Mays? Is he think, you know, who's going through his head that he's, you know, imagining right before he kind of throws the ball up in that awesome episode on season 7. And this right here, this is actually coming back to the animated series. This is like an inside joke. It was a really funny episode, and it was like same play on sentient computers, etc. And the computer was doing a goof on him and changed his shirt. And it was just something happened during those episodes. Like I said, we were bonding on the ship, and I just remember everyone busting out laughing, and it was just a funny time. So I was like, let me just see, you know, what I can do. And I just kind of did some digital art and took a picture and kind of messed with it in Photoshop and just kept it simple and just, you know, I think it just says it there, you know, not my take on the character at all. You know, Captain Kirk is a man, but I just thought it was funny. You never really see kind of like a different take, or, you know, kind of like a goofy take, you know. So yeah, thank you.
Ah, that's really cool.
And then we have let me see.
And what's that book? So does that book have anything to do with?
This is I saw my friend on one of your YouTube interviews.
That's Muhammad's book.
Exactly.
Muhammad
I
Noor.
love Muhammad. Supports my art. Like I said, I'm in North Carolina. He teaches at Duke, so he's actually not that far from me. And when we get a chance, we hang out. I love his books. So definitely, you know, go back, check out Matt's interview of Dr. Muhammad Noor. Definitely buy Muhammad's book, support his YouTube as well. He has an awesome YouTube, the Biotechie Explains. And he's just been an awesome supporter of my art. Another person that I met virtually through the 7th rule, and just over time, like, hey, doctor, hey, you know, it's like where are you from? I'm in Raleigh. He's like, what? I'm in Duke. And I'm like, what? So it's just like, okay, we're so close. And eventually it led to us just having a good time. And he came to an art gallery viewing of mine and
Oh, great.
bought some art and met his family. And it just, just shared, some real good fellowship and friendship. And, it's the chat pack all day. So like I said, check out his YouTube and also check out the Seventh Rule. Like I said, he helped me out a lot in terms of exploring the virtual Trek cons and getting into the fandom and like not just watching Star Trek, but actually talking to others about Star Trek and just having a good time. It can go deep or it can just be really silly and we can just de-evolve and talk about Packlets or something like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just been a blessed time. I really love I more than love Star Trek, but I really do love it.
That's really cool. And then I saw, well, now before you had some green stuff that you were drinking. I was like, is that Romulan ale or? Oh, there it is. Yeah.
It's green.
Yeah.
It's green.
It's Kool-Aid.
Yeah, there you
we'll
go.
call it that. Oh, it's got a thing. It's got a.
There you go. And so, but I got this. So this is another friend of mine. Definitely check out the Science Division. They make awesome triple. Their new product is like a even bigger triple. So definitely check out Science Division. Maybe I can post a link or something like that.
Yeah, I'll put a bunch of links down there.
Okay, great. And I had they had like a trivia night. Star Trek, of course. And I placed, I think I got like third place. And they sent me like a lot of awesome little swag, stuff like this.
Oh, cool.
What else did they send? Oh, it's right in front of me. Here we go. Over here. Little triple.
Oh, triple pin
and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So that was just really awesome. They've interviewed me before. We talked about Afrofuturism and representation of Black folks in Star Trek and sci-fi and why that's important. Just talked about art. She's an artist herself. She had an awesome expo on big cats, on tigers and their environments and important conservation. So, artist to artist, sending all that love out to Science Division again. And yeah, they just, I'm surrounded by friends and family and just a lot of love. A lot of folks support my art.
That's really great.
So I just want to make sure they get represented.
Okay. And then, of course, we'll put your website in the link also.
Absolutely.
People can take a look at more of your stuff. So yes, let's see. What else have you got up your sleeve? We looked at some Star Trek stuff. And then is your art all Star Trek, or do you also do other stuff outside of that too?
Absolutely. My art is under Just Jenus Art. And my goal is to increase positive images of Black people, Black women, Black men, children, culture. If someone says, I've never seen a Black biochemist, then I want to draw a comic book about a Black biochemist, so now here you go.
Okay.
If it doesn't have to be as deep. It can be as simple as a mother with her daughter enjoying a day in the park on a park bench or something like that.
Okay.
Let's see. I did have a couple of pieces of those as well. So Star Trek, I love, like I said, energy is a huge component. So I love my art to encompass that energy, that thought process. It's therapy for me and therapy for a lot of people that sees it.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why my goal is to increase those images. So this is kind of like, we got Valentine's coming up soon.
Oh, yeah.
So this is also like another digital print of an original piece that I've drawn out. This is kind of multimedia as well. Kind of, I probably drew it out and then did some markers as well to color it in. This is another digital print of a sketch that I did.
Oh, so that one's pretty elaborate. Okay, can you put that closer? I wanted to see that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that there's a lot to this one, and just to the composition of this. So that, so it's his, he's thinking, and the stuff coming out of his head is like his thoughts, right?
You got it, my friend. His thoughts, emotions, subconscious to a certain degree. You can see the chains there in his mind, his fists, or the symbolic fist of freedom breaking through his
Right.
mind. The flag is behind it. I drew this, or definitely began this piece when Donald Trump had got elected. That
Oh, wow.
same morning, that same night. And it was just provocative. I had kind of like a headache. I had a lot going on. It was just like a new, kind of like in my body or my mind, kind of recognizing a new era in our country and kind of like getting ready for it's going to be going out. And I think I was kind of right. That was definitely what a ride, what a ride. And so this is another image, one of my favorite pieces. I call this Young King.
Okay.
And I just
Young
love
King?
this.
King?
Yes, Young King. Yes. And so I just love the attitude that the kid has. So a lot of my pictures come from, like I said, references. So I might be on social media and see a picture that strikes me. This is actually Muhammad Ali.
Oh,
If you
wow.
look at,
Oh, I didn't catch that.
yeah. And so, and so this would be a picture where I'm not really focused on trying to make it realistic as much as I was trying to capture his pose with the
Okay.
hands. I was like, okay, that's perfect. That's what I need in terms of completing my
So
piece.
when I was growing up, everybody knew who Muhammad Ali was. But do you think,
Right.
like these days, do you think kids in their 20s and 30s know who he is?
Yes,
Okay, so
through
he's still,
music, through music, hip hop music, rap music is very important. It carries there are certain words, certain tracks, favorite songs that they always say. And a lot of rappers still say, knock you out like Muhammad Ali. And I've
okay.
seen kids be like, I don't know who that is, but they know the name. And then it'll take them some time to kind of piece it together, you
Okay.
know, but they grow up knowing the impact of the name. They might not necessarily know who he is or, his daughter or what he looked like older or younger, et cetera, what he was exactly doing, but they do kind of come in sync with it with culture. And that's, I would say, rap culture, hip hop culture definitely carries that tagline very strongly. And I see kids as I'm 32 turning 33.
Okay. So
And
you're one of the
I
kids I'm
definitely
talking
grew
about.
up learning, and I had my generation teaching us, who Muhammad Ali was, and I definitely grew up seeing him as well. So it
Oh,
was, and
okay.
I love boxing, so it was kind of like, okay, I definitely knew who he was. But I
Okay.
would say athletes would definitely know because he's just held up as a champion icon when it comes to having like a mentality for
Mhm.
athleticism, and then culturally with like music and people still using that punchline, all puns intended.
Okay. Oh, that's exciting too. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, what else have we got there? So like we're getting into, you got a whole pile of stuff, right? Okay, so what's
Yeah.
this?
So this is kind of like these are my digital prints and posters. So most of these are either like, 20 or $30, depending on the size, but
Okay.
they show original pieces. So either these pieces are maybe in a gallery or sold already. And so instead of buying an original piece that may be 150, $200, you can get a digital print or a poster that may be a little bit smaller, sometimes the same size.
Okay.
This is actually bigger than the original, you
Oh,
know.
it's blown up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but this one is probably about the same size as the original, if that
So
makes
like
sense.
a piece like that, how fast can you create a piece that then you end up selling for like 100 or 200 bucks, the original? Is that, I
Honestly,
mean,
I would say it all depends. I would say something original like this would take time because people would need to see it. They literally never seen it before. that might be some references to it. Even though you knew and grew up with Muhammad Ali, you didn't catch that first picture had Muhammad Ali. So sometimes it takes hearing me talk about it, or it being on a table and somebody walking up and you kind of have a conversation about it for it to mean something then. Other than that, it would depend on the topic, so to speak. That's why I love Star Trek art. Because when I get in Trekkie circles, I don't have to explain this. You know, they know what this is. So if they want an Enterprise on that wall, they're going to buy Enterprise, you know. But if I brought this to maybe a regular setting, not everyone, they might see it, they might like it, but for the most part, it would just be kind of like a spaceship to them, you know. So it's really cool seeing what works and seeing what pieces sell. I've had pieces sell the same day as I created them. You know, wow. I created in a couple hours. Okay. You know, heat gun, dried it out, had an event at like 4:00, came there, maybe had it on an easel for display. Someone really enjoyed it, you know, and bought it right there. Or other times I've done live pieces and literally finished the piece in an hour, less than 2 hours, and it's been bought right there. And then other times I've had pieces where I've worked on for a couple of days, maybe even a couple of weeks, and they may not sell for a year, 2 years, 3, but then someone links with it or sees it and starts and it hits them, and then it's like, okay, now that's where it was supposed to go.
So what's that like when you've worked on a piece you put a lot of your heart and soul into it, and then you sell it? Is that, I assume that's kind of bittersweet moment, right?
Yes, you got it. It is like these are my babies. I call them my children. I've had moments to where I'm getting close to finishing a commission, and I could be done by Wednesday, but I actually don't finish it until Saturday because I have a little like, oh, you know. And then there's the sense of, okay, this is done, so now let's go to the next one. And sometimes that transition as an artist, at least for myself, isn't always like quick, you know. So I'll actually like to work on maybe 2. I've scaled it back. I'm actually a teacher here in Raleigh. I teach pre-K. I actually teach different ages, but right now I've been teaching pre-K, and so I like to kind of balance my time out, but I do like to make sure that they do get sold. They don't belong to me. That's the key element to my art. My art doesn't belong to me. It's a gift from my creator. The only reason I even have the ability is because I was created that way. And so all of this art actually doesn't belong to me. I'm just a conduit to get it to the person that it actually belongs to. So it's not up to me if it takes a couple of hours or a couple of days or a couple of years for someone to buy it. I just have to make sure that I'm creating.
Okay. I can kind of relate to that. I was going to ask you another follow-up question, but you sort of answered it, which was like, do you do one? Is it like you do one, then you finish it, then you do the next, then you finish it? Or do you, like, some artists will have like 10 different things all half done, and then they just kind of go from one to the next and they slowly finish them all, type of a thing?
I tried a little bit of everything. Okay. And I'm on, like, you know, not to, you know, bust anybody's bubbles. I like Star Wars too. So I definitely do the rule of 2.
You can't like Star Trek and Star Wars. You gotta pick one or the other. Okay.
I'm gonna have it all.
I mean, you can like, of course, you can like the Orville in Star Trek, of course, is fine.
The Orville is amazing.
Dun, dun, da, 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 dun, dun, da, 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 da.
That's an awesome. Oh yes, yeah. I see it better now.
No, I'm just joking. Of course, I like Star Wars too.
Yeah.
So I should have some Star Wars thing somewhere.
Yeah, I got to get on that too. But I think I took to Star Trek quicker when it came to the artwork. It just kind of came at the same time with my business growing.
Well, of course, once Baby Yoda showed up, Star Wars got a giant revival.
Yeah,
So
it's different now. Yeah, I
yeah, I
enjoyed.
really
I
dig
just got
Baby
finished
Yoda.
enjoying
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian season episode 1, and then I would call it the first episode of the Star Trek universe series in the
Yeah.
book of Boba Fett.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Hold on. Stay right
Yes.
there. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I gotta put my things back in again. Okay. Just to prove. Hi. Hi
Hello,
there.
my friend.
This is actually my wife's baby Yoda, so I don't know if she'll let me keep him, but it would be kind of nice to put him up here somewhere. Here, I'll put him with the penguins. Can you see him back there?
A little
that's
bit.
not
Yeah, I
very
can see
good.
him.
All right, I'm gonna have to move the tripod. All right, there.
No problem.
Can you
Oh,
see him
that's
now?
great. Yes.
All right. Okay. The circle is complete. Oh, speaking of circles, I assume you've seen The Lion King, right? With the circle of life.
Yeah.
That movie. Of course, that movie had James Earl Jones in it. He was Simba's dad, was played by James Earl Jones.
Yes, yes.
And so yeah, there's
Original
a lot to
Vader
that movie.
voice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The original Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Circle of life. Okay. Now we're on a tangent. Let's look at another picture.
Get some more. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm multi-talented, so I'm also a photographer.
Okay, that's the moon.
So this is some of my photography. Just something simple, just something of the moon, just captured it in its below.
Did you do that through a telescope or just through a telephoto lens?
I use a Canon hot shot. It's pretty powerful, has a amazing zoom, and digital files instantly, and do the same process, put it in the application and print it out as a poster or digital print like this. So this is actually in Raleigh right here. This is a picture of Raleigh, North Carolina. I love graffiti art. Like I said before, I love hip hop and rap. So graffiti art catches my eye. This actually doesn't exist anymore. It was on a construction site.
Have you ever created any graffiti art yourself?
Yes, I used to write Pen Pal. That was what I used to write. That was my graffiti name, was Pen Pal.
Okay.
And I actually teach graffiti, the basis of graffiti. Sometimes in summer school, I actually teach through Zoom as well, one-on-one workshops. You can book that through my website. And I teach the basics of graffiti.
All right. Okay, so let me ask you this.
Find a piece.
So, okay, that just opened up a whole new world. See, up until this moment, I always thought that all graffiti artists were totally self-taught. But now I suddenly realize, well, now the idea of taking a class to do graffiti art, you just opened that up. But then I thought, you know what, there's got to be like this whole community where like graffiti artists mentor other ones, and like you just become part of this whole scene, right?
Well, that's the traditional method. Is you enter a scene or a city, you explore, you begin finding tags and sweet spots, places where people can through their murals while being interfered and finish the completion, and then you start seeing the language of it, and that's what taught me. I didn't have like a formal teacher. I never had anyone say, "Hey, you do this way." Not until I was already practicing, and typically it came from very similar to where I came with my art style from. I was like one of the first things that I started to draw was graffiti art. And I would look at videos, I would go online and get pictures, because I'm from Roxborough, North Carolina, which is a rural town. So we don't really have enough it's gonna be very obvious if someone does graffiti, you know what I mean, with their name. So it's just like not something that happens. So for me, I had to look online, look in books, look in graffiti books and research it that way. Photographers who had walked through New York, Germany, different places, LA, took pictures, put it in a book, And then, like you said, is this whole little community of graffiti artists where you're buying materials, supplies, pens. Like I'm lucky enough to have the digital age come about right when I was going into my teen years. So you can get a video of someone doing art. You can see someone's graffiti art shop in Canada, in Toronto somewhere, doing their thing and be like, oh, okay. And then as well as being reinforced through hip hop culture, rap culture, I'm still seeing it in videos. My brother's like, oh, here, listen to this. It's Wu-Tang Clan, or it's the old school, like Public Enemy. And you're seeing graffiti on the wall, and you're seeing it used not just as art, but also to start sending messages out, political messages. And now you start getting into like, Banksy and all of these other artists. And yeah, now contemporary, you do have that tradition of you got to get out there. Everyone, you're a toy until you get your rep up, and you carry around a black book, and you do your sketches, and you follow the tags, and you write what others write, and then you begin developing your own style, your own name, and then you go out and you do a wall, you do a tag, but there's still like rules to it that make sure that you're not, sending yourself to jail. But now you can do art on a canvas and it's accepted into a gallery. You can do your graffiti style on
a canvas.
Yeah, exactly. And it'd be introduced. So that's just something that's been developing over the last decade or two. And with that, people, it is, I would say, I think the percentage of graffiti art is like less than 1% is actually gang related. The rest of it is actually artists, visual artists, independent artists, graffiti artists in that culture, continuing the art style. It's worldwide, it's global. A lot of people just think of New York City, but it's literally I've traveled.
That's all over.
I've seen it in Ecuador. I've seen it in Beijing, China, Shanghai as well. So I've seen it all over.
So how does it work now? I mean, does a graffiti artist, are they able to do it in broad daylight, or do they always have to just sneak around and do it when nobody's watching them?
It would depend. Like I said, if you get contracted as an independent artist for a mural, then technically you're working for the city. And usually they will want you to do it during daylight time.
So people can watch you do it.
If you are a traditional hardcoreist where you don't believe in public art or graffiti as public art, then that's when you start kind of getting in like vandalism, running on trains. But like I said, there's rules. You're not supposed to be hitting up like churches, or you're not supposed to be, doing people's homes. You're not supposed, you're really supposed to be trying to find places that's hard to reach. So a cleaner would not even bother to go over there to try to clean it. So that means that it's going to last. Somewhere that people can see it. So if you just do it on the side of the building, there's no guarantee. But if you do it on the side of a water tower, all right. But at the same time, now you're a vandal. Now you're private property. So yeah, there is an element of, I wouldn't necessarily call it sneaking. I like to call it timing. It's just moments in the city to where when you look around, it's really just you there.
And that's like early in the morning, right? Or something, or late at night, or
it just always depends. It depends on the scene. It depends on the city. Every city has its own flow. And it might be easier to hide in plain daylight and do it at 8 o'clock instead of waiting at 3 o'clock, because, a guy walking out of shadows with a handkerchief across his face and gloves and a backpack at 3 o'clock in the morning is just kind of like, hey, and everybody's like, but you walk out into a stream of a city, people going to a movie, people going to work, people, whatever, it's just another backpack. At that time, who cares about some graffiti artists? There's actually other stuff going on. Let's go catch somebody up, so it just depends on the scene. It depends on the flow, how comfortable, how hardcore the artist is as well. You might have a hardcore artist who, like I said, don't believe in public art, so you'll never see them. They are going to do it at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. They may never do it on the wall. They only do it in sheltered places like tunnels or subway stations or, covered places like that. So It's a lot. It's a lot to it. It's a whole world to it. That's why I love it.
Right. That's interesting. So, well, okay, here's a question then. Is there like an etiquette or of like if you see a building that's already got graffiti on it, like would you how do you know whether it's cool to paint over it or not?
Okay, yeah. Let me bring this back. Okay. So this is like a that building was abandoned. So
Okay.
this is perfect. You know what I mean? Nobody technically owns it. Nobody is, should be doing security. You may have a security for a lot or something like that. But for the most part, this building was abandoned, and it's also downtown. It's very visible. And if you can see how someone got up on a roof here and did it on another side of the building that was abandoned as well. It's kind of confusing. It's like inverted. I gotta like move this way to make it go that way.
That always messed me up.
But you can see how he could have easily done this here on top of Nigel's, but he was like, no, let me find my own spot. Even with this, what we would call a toy bomb, very simple, no real, anybody can really do this blue one, right? But even the artist gave that respect and went to the other side, because this is definitely much better. I can care less. This one here with the wild style, the letters, the colors, that's a beautiful art piece. That's what you will call a piece. So this is a bomb. This is something you do quick. You don't know what's going on. They probably did this when the building was actually in service. Okay. There's a parking lot next to this. So it was probably people in the parking lot, people driving up and down the road. Okay, they're going to go over there. They're going to wait for the stoplight. People at the traffic, spray. You do the white first, then you do the blue first, and then you go back over the detail with the white, then you out of there. Walking down the street before the can hits the ground. You know what I'm saying? This one on top, because of the highness of it, that person had to figure out a way to get up there first. So more than likely, they scoped it out, figured out a way to get up there. If they felt good doing it then they dropped the bomb then. But usually they'll probably just be like, okay, I know how to get up here. I know how to get down. I know what's going around, what angles. Okay, I'm going to come back tomorrow. Then they come back tomorrow. I got enough spray. I got enough white. I got enough black. The fact that it didn't have color tells me that they were like, not sure about it. So they probably did this as well when the building was activated and still, not abandoned or anything. But the fact that this one has so much wild style to it, they took their time. That's a lot of color. That's almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different colors with the black. The time that it would take to get something that integrate as well, that detail and style.
Yeah, plus there's different shades too, right? They kind of shaded
different shades, definitely. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece. And it's different elements. So this, like I said, I'm saying piece on purpose because, like, they drew it in a book before they came out here.
Oh, okay.
This is their actual tag here. You can see that, and actually, this could be a group. So this might be more than one person, just because the name kind of comes off as a group name to me with the initials. Then this is the actual signature. You see how it has its own language to it. Yeah. And then you just got the whole piece. So you might have had a person laying it down. Yeah. So now you got to, if you look on the other side, there's a different tag. So this is multiple people doing this piece.
What gets me is like, the way all the swooshes in there, I can see how an artist could do that. Like if it's small, where you just do this, you do the curves really fast. So they have this really organic look to them. Like you just stroke the brush or whatever. But then to get that big is really impressive, to still get that same kind of just gesture. You know what I'm saying?
It's an art form because you're changing more than likely from a pen or a pencil to a spray can.
Okay. And when you spray it, you still spray it really fast.
And you're still getting the strokes of it. Yes.
And you're doing it fast like that. So
And yeah,
Kind of
that
like
might
swinging
make
a
it
golf
fade.
club,
That's
sort
how
of.
you get the transition. That's how you get a light blue instead of the hardcore blue
Uh-huh.
of it as well. Or making it bigger as well, getting more space of it. It depends on the can, the pressure, different size can, different nozzles as well. A nozzle will give you like basically like a different font in a way.
Right. And
So
so
I love it. I love graffiti.
So all these graffiti artists, I mean, obviously they're not getting paid for it. They're just doing it out of their love for the art too. And then do they end up meeting each other, or do they just sort of communicate via their art to each other?
That's why I love it. It's both. It's both. If you have like a skate park, it's a good chance that you'll probably meet the other artists because it's leisurely. More than likely, they want it. It's legal. I'll call it free. It's a free space. A lot of cities now have free spaces. So there's a designated space of graffiti, of wall or material for graffiti art that graffiti artists in the city can go and practice on and do, and kind of contain it and keep it from turning actual visual artists with skill and craft into criminals, basically.
Right.
So instead, like, okay, let's give y'all a little piece of wall, y'all do your thing here.
And if there is a wall like that, I mean, do they like say like, okay, each piece gets to stay here for a week and then somebody else can go over it, or how does, or is there anything like that?
That's the trick. That's the language. This is, respect for another artist, but it's also, if you've ever seen what's the classic Beat Street. Remember that classic Beat Street?
No.
So that was like an awesome hip hop movie. It had a lot of graffiti art.
Okay.
Ramon, the Breakers, the had Dougie Fresh in it. Just a classic golden age hip hop piece. Okay. But it was sad because they had a graffiti artist, and like you said, yes, you're not getting paid, but it might give you notoriety. Like when it first started, doing a piece, doing something like on a train would be almost like making an art post on your Facebook, right? Because you're seeing a train go across the city and it's saying Ramon, and it's like, who the fuck, who is Ramon, And you might go to the Bronx, and then it's a guy with a bunch of spray cans, and it's like, hey, is this Ramon? And then you go through his sketchbook, and maybe he sells you something out of sketchbook for like $10 or $15. You know what I mean? So, so that's how the hip hop culture turned it into merchandising. So now that saying, when you see a t-shirt and it has graffiti art, a lot of times that actually came from a graffiti artist. So by them practicing that style, is similar to like tattooing, to where, yeah, you can go to this guy and get the angel with the flaming wings and the battle axe, but his style is a little different from her style. And she just tattooed, I don't know, Will Smith 3 weeks ago, so I'm gonna go to her. Yeah, it might be $150 more, but her style is better. So it's the same thing. Like, hey, if I see this and it's a free wall, and I'm like, yo, I want a canvas, I want a piece in my house, and I'm gonna go to this guy. He's like, hey, it's 150 for the canvas. But I was like, I really want this, but you go to that guy and it's like 1,000 for the canvas. Then it's like up to you. So that's kind of like how, folks make their money. Like I said, they translate it. They might actually be a traditional artist, so they might have gallery pieces that are, of sunsets and people having tea parties. And then at nighttime, it's book bag, Wu-Tang Clan. Yes. Like it's like superheroes. In a way.
It's like Bruce Wayne and Batman or something. But okay, now I just had another crazy idea. So graffiti and tattoos. Like I don't see many people that have tattoos that look like graffiti art, but that could be a thing, right?
Yeah, I've seen some pieces. I see some tattoo pieces that kind of have a graffiti style to it. It's similar in the sense that it's a art form based on handwriting skill,
right?
As well. People getting their names as tattoos, etc., being able to write in a particular font or particular style. Right. And it's a similar concept A lot of graffiti artists are like me. You see something dope. You saw a dude posing like this, so
Right.
you sketch it in your sketchbook, right? And you keep that black book, much like a tattoo artist who has sketches, different things, the way they draw their angel wings, the way they draw their frog, the way they draw, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And that's like your little Bible, your little go-to for references, or like, okay, if I want to draw a frog, I'm gonna just look at this frog and draw it like how I did it maybe 2 months ago or something like that.
Okay.
So they're very similar, but then they divulge because one is going out probably painting or doing spray paint on an animate object, and the other artist is painting probably on someone that's alive, hopefully, you know.
Yeah, somebody that's got to live with it. But okay, so, and is there anything like for if you're black, is it likely, if you're black, is it more likely to have a tattoo or less likely to have a tattoo than you're white, just because of the canvas? I don't like, how does that work? Are there a lot of black people that have tattoos as well, or?
Well, that's why representation is always so important, even with sci-fi, especially in the art industry and the tattoo industry. So typically, if you want a tattoo as a black person, you go to a black tattooist because they have been trained to know how to get the right colors and the right pigments. So you do look good when you get a tattoo, because some artists don't take the time in diversifying their tools. So it's like, I'm not going to risk spending $200 and you say you can't get it right because my skin is darker than your usual.
You're used to. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, well, let's just go there. So like, pretend you're a black tattoo artist, I assume you have to use darker colors to get the contrast, right?
I'm not sure. It's still a different medium in terms with tattooing. So I've never actually done tattoos. I actually don't have any tattoos, but that's just out of if I turn my body into a canvas, I'm not going to stop drawing on it. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I've been like, oh man, I love tattoos. I love tattoo art, but I think I'm gonna be like an old guy with a bunch of tattoos. You know, I don't know. Maybe it starts soon, but I'm like, once it starts, it's not going to stop.
Do you remember that there was that?
It book? Is different. It is. I think you do. You have different ink, different mixtures, and a lot of times it just comes down to the technique of the artist. You know, it's just a certain technique that they have, and I've seen plenty of artists, white and black, or you know, whatever color. If they learned the techniques, if they took the time to get that skill set, to get their tools to accommodate their clientele that is black, then they have no problem doing any piece that they want to.
Well, I know, like in Hawaii, I mean, tattoo art is actually part of the religion in Hawaii, and so there, I mean, the skin is darker than white. It's kind of in between white and black. So, and it always looks really good. So that,
and it's like I said, it just goes back to like the technique. They have their own style.
Yeah.
That they've built from their own people, their own artists tattooing themselves over centuries and centuries, carrying that tradition on. So it's just a beautiful, like I said, a key is the representation, the passing it along. If you see an artist as yourself, you know, and you want to do that, you're more likely to do it. And in that sense, like I said, it's their technique, their tool set is perfect for what they're doing. You know, different ink, different type of, you know, tools. We will almost say, you know, rougher or maybe even, you know, a harsher type of tool. But like you said, the style, the look of it is so beautiful that if that's what you want, that's who you got to go for. You know, you go to the source.
Wow. Yeah, I remember there was that Ray Bradbury book of short stories called the Illustrated Man. I remember that.
No,
it's about this guy who has all these tattoos all over his body. And then what happens is that the tattoos change and they start like telling these stories. And that's just kind of how he does the whole book. And there was a movie of it too. Yeah. It's just called The Illustrated Man. Yeah.
The Illustrated Man.
Ray Bradbury. Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, that's
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you. I'm gonna definitely check that out. Okay.
Wow. So now I'm gonna go back to graffiti just for a sec. So
Wonderful.
well, I had something intelligent to say. Darn it. Oh, okay. So if you went back to that one, the one that you showed us that was really cool looking, had all the different colors in it. So those are stylized letters, right? So that actually says something.
Let me check. Let's see. Yes. I would say it's very it could typically it would say the tag. So if you see the TFL on the corner,
Okay.
and then you see the other side here, I'm thinking it's actually this on this side.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's actually this word or the name of the group that
Okay.
actually kind of fits. So you can kind of, if you take that B in the corner, right, and then come over, you can see that B in the blue. Do you see a B?
Okay.
Kind of see like the N here. Then it's like the bubble, boom, boom. And then if you come back and look for the L, I'm thinking the L is this red. They kind of chopped it up a little bit.
Okay.
And it's kind of going through. Then that green could be the T. You can see the top coming over and coming down. But like you
Okay.
said, it's wild style. So it's I would say in this particular sense, it's purposely trying to be challenging to read.
Okay.
Yeah, purposely. So you don't necessarily know who it is. And also, the harder it is to read, the harder it is to recreate. So it gives it authenticity. If someone tries to duplicate your style or steal your style or steal your work, because it's like, oh yeah, you do it. And the person's sitting there like, you know what I mean? So it's really cool. It's like kung fu, you know. Everyone has their own form, style. It's all based upon different principles, depending on
Yeah, whether
what you're trying to do with it.
whether you're Miyagi-Do or Cobra Kai, you know.
Yes.
Of course, that's karate. It's not actually kung fu, but anyway.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. So what else have you got in that bag? That's maybe we can look at a couple more things before we wrap up here.
Wonderful. Yeah. Let's see. Here we go. Nice bigger picture. Anyone interested in Valentine's Day or Valentine's art? I love couples commissions. So
Okay.
this is just some love art, some black love.
Okay.
Let's see. This is a beautiful piece, one of my favorite pieces. Just a beautiful curvy girl, BBW
Wow.
queen. And I like I said, I like mixed media. So this would be something that I drew in a sketchbook. And then I came back to it and began adding these abstract pieces and backgrounds, match the color to her jewelry that she has on her bracelets and necklace and such.
Okay.
And just kind of have her fading in and out of the color and the design. And this is a wonderful piece. So this piece, the idea came from my mom. She said, "Hey, I want you to do a Mother's Day piece. I want you to do something about mothers."
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So this is I drew it out. She has the original, and then I
Okay.
have these digital prints.
So
And
hold on.
so
I want to look at that a little bit closer. So
absolutely. So you can start from here.
that's ink, and then is there watercolor in that too, or?
No, it's just because it's a digital print. It just kind of looks that way when it printed out, but this is all pencil actually.
Pencil.
Yes.
Wow. So there's a lot of detail in there. So this, you didn't do this in like a couple hours. This was like several
Yes, this
weeks,
is, yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, this will be one of the pieces that I'll be working on coming back to. Probably took a couple days. I'm not even sure when she told me. I know she
Oh,
told
wow.
me probably had to be maybe 2-3 months before the Mother's Day of that year. I want to say this
Okay.
is 2019. So I remember her telling me that. I think at that time I was doing like a lot of masculine pieces. So she
Okay.
kind of wanted me to dip back into some feminine energy.
So
So
this
this
is
piece,
really,
yes.
so this is really like traditional Africa, right? I mean, is that, you know how long her neck is? Is her neck really that long in reality?
Uh, uh, from the reference photo, yes.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I found a couple reference photos. I had pictures of different women. I kind of have these boxes, and like
Okay.
when I'm just like scroll, I love Tumblr. I love like Instagram, visual platforms where you can just look at pictures. And
Okay.
so I would just go through, or even if I'm looking for a particular thing, I might type in beautiful black woman or
Uh-huh.
African lady or something like that into Google search. And literally, I'm just looking at all the images. I'm like, oh, okay, I like that. Oh, okay, I like that. Oh, okay, I like that. Print them out, kind
Okay.
of look at them, assemble them into pieces.
Because what I
And
see in
so,
this, and I don't know if this is conscious or not, but like what it looks like is there's a real dichotomy because if it back it up a tad. So like half of the painting is sort of like purity, like her neck and her face is like representing like purity, right? And then
mhm,
above that is all the thoughts and stuff is all up in her hair and everything like that. And so like there's a real stark contrast. And so is that anywhere close to what you had in mind when you were creating it?
yes, yes. I almost didn't want to stop you. I want to keep hearing what you had to say because this is the one of the best part. This is like my favorite part of art when I draw stuff. Like I
Uh-huh.
said, it doesn't belong to me. So I always like to hear others what they see first. Because a lot of times what you would see is not what I would see at all.
Right.
I've
Because
had
what I
people,
see, okay, so what I see, back it up a tad.
yeah,
So I really, my eye is taken, goes right to her neck. You know, that's like the focal point. It's like everything is pointing to just the pure space of right and her neck, right? And then everything comes out from there, right? And then all the detail and everything just kind of emerges out of that. But the way you
yeah,
did it is it's so beautiful how it's set up. Like, okay, back it up a tad again.
there we go.
Also, it's really interesting how the back of her neck, there's a real clear kind of like a border happening where it gets really
Yes,
dark. And
yes,
then then all the detail and everything emerges back out of it again. So like there's a lot of like contrast and stuff in it, you know, and of
yes,
course everything, there's so much going on in her hair, all the different spirits and all these different emotions and everything that's going on up there. That's a giant story. But again, it's all
yeah,
being cradled back from this purity. I don't
yeah,
know if that's makes any sense at all, but that's what I'm getting out of it.
absolutely. You were your interpretation is so similar to the source of the material. So what you're seeing, I love what you said, the spirits and emotions and feelings. The visuals are supposed to be different images of her throughout different stages of her life of motherhood.
Oh,
So
wow.
this is her, like you said, I wanted it to be not necessarily her pregnant, but maybe on the verge of pregnancy or thinking of motherhood. So when you said the starting point is her neck or her nape, and it's kind of like that's how she's like kind of like manifesting. She's harnessing almost her inner power. And
Uh-huh.
yes, and it kind of explodes upward into these thoughts. So this old woman is actually her in the
Oh,
future,
interesting.
her as a grandmother. Yes. What you see in the middle is her pregnant. And
Ah,
one of my and even in the corner here, you can see her as a child, as an infant. And so you're seeing her
oh, okay. That's
uh,
cool.
almost reminisce and go into the future simultaneously, thinking about her motherhood. So I had read, like I said, my mom was the launching point. She wanted me to do a motherhood piece, or a Mother's Day piece, so to speak. And I had read something about women being born with the eggs of their grandchildren, so to speak. You know, they have the capacity, their eggs have the capacity to produce eggs already. So once that child is born, then she will be able to carry on child. I just kind of blew my mind that you're already kind of looking at two people in a sense. You know, you're not necessarily just looking at a woman, you're already looking at her children, who is also creating another person. And it that's where the surrealism kind of came. If that kind of is like, what are you talking about? That's why this piece came up, because my mom was like, okay, let's go with it. And one of the main things that you see, if you see these planets in the back as well, kind of spiraling out, those are like different phases, kind of like different phases of the moon in a sense.
Ta-da!
And that, yes,
that's why I wore this planet shirt. I knew there was a reason. Okay, hold on.
Wonderful.
This is from the Planetary Society. And these are a whole bunch of different planets.
I love it. I love it.
So there we go. Sorry for interrupting. So
no.
Is this available? Like, is this available for purchase on your website? This piece?
Yes, exactly. So I have the digital prints and the posters that folks can see. If they see something, you know, when I'm doing like a presentation, or if you see something on like my social media that you don't right away see on the website, just email me. You know, it's me. You know, sometimes it's just like, you know, I don't have 3 hours to upload, you know, 4 or 5 different.
Right. So, and now is that how big the original was, or is this reduced?
This would probably be maybe a little bit bigger, not too big.
The original is smaller than that?
Yeah, the original will be slightly smaller, because I did it in, let's see, I did it in this book. So not too much smaller.
Okay.
Not too much, but a little bit. You can kind of see that it was stretched a little bit. That's why it's kind of like, you probably kind of got like this like blurredness, or this like spread out.
How you did that. So you said you did it. It's mostly pen. Is that what you said?
Pencil,
and charcoal.
Yeah, it was actually just pencil. You know, the background was smudging of the lead. That's what I was looking for. The shavings, etc. You can almost see my thumbprint in a way.
Huh. Wow.
Even now. And that's how I was able to get this, like you said, this, you know, because sometimes it's beautiful. Like, okay, I had this concept and I drew it all out, and then it's not like, well, what do I do for the background? Wasn't quite sure. So I even talking about the piece, just like a good meal or something, you start to get reminiscent of the process of making it. And I'm starting to remember, even now, looking at like, okay, this is I definitely drew this out. So this would have to be my lead shavings. And I was like, okay, that had to be me trying to figure out what I was going to do for the background, you know. And I was, you know, energy wise, that makes sense. You know, why not use the art piece itself to color the background? You know, don't try to introduce anything new.
Right.
You know, I'm already having a lot going on, a couple of different complexes and concepts. And, you know, if I put something in the background, it might take away from what was already established. So I was like, okay, but it needs to be something there. So, you know, that's what that came from.
The thing that I really like about it is I've seen a lot of different art like this that's somewhat abstract or surreal, where the concepts are there. But the thing about yours is that it's so beautiful. Again, it's like the woman is the way that she, just the form, it's so well done. It's just really, it gives you a like it's I just saw this Oh shoot, what's his name? Oh God. Trevor, the guy that took over for Jon Stewart.
Trevor Noah.
Trevor Noah, right? He did a 10-minute thing about highways and how when the highways were built that the black neighborhoods and everything were bearing the brunt of it. And
domain.
Right. And he did a whole thing all about, how black people were being, again, taken advantage of, and, basically they weren't being respected. And, but he did it he had really hard hitting, real history, real political stuff he was talking about, but it was within his show of comedy. So he was able to do both. And the comedy keeps you watching and keeps you listening, and keeps you in it. And then he throws in the real stuff, the real information, right? That you'd rather not hear because it's not, you don't want to hear it because it makes you angry, right?
Doesn't necessarily make you feel good. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but then he mixes it in, so he keeps you going, and that's his whole gig, right? Of being a comic. He's like a comic and an educator at the same time, right?
Yeah, a comedic.
Well, same type of thing. Like with your picture, it's got the beauty in it, right, on the bottom part with the lady's face and everything, and then when you go up into her hair, then there's a lot of information there, and it can be overwhelming. Like if the whole thing was just her hair, like you'd look at it and you're like, oh, I might get a bad dream. But since it's got both, it's like it keeps you, because of the dichotomy of it, it keeps you in it. It keeps you in the conversation, just like Trevor Noah does, So it's just really interesting. Yeah.
Yes. There's, like I said, the source was my mom. So I wanted it to be appealing to her. I wanted it to be beautiful. Someone that almost kind of looked like her, and maybe in that age before she had my brothers and me and stuff. And yes, that was the process, to have kind of like this explosion, but it be condensed enough that it's almost like two halves to a whole.
Right. Yeah.
I love your interpretations. I love that. That's, like I said, I just love that about, just being able to sit back and talk about art, because a lot of times people may second guess their self and be like, oh, I'm not an artist. I don't know what this is about. But like I said, it's our emotions, it's our feelings, our thought process. We're all human. And for the most part, most of us can communicate in a multitude of ways.
Yeah.
So this is another form of communication that I just really enjoy.
Yeah, it's neat. Wow. Okay. Well, we better start wrapping it up because we've been going for an hour or so. Of course, I like ending on that because I really dig that piece. Is there anything else that you want to say or show us before we call it good?
Yeah, let me see. What's what we got going on? Yeah, let me do some poetry. I'm a spoken word artist. I do poetry that very much sits in my visual art. It's about representation. It's about the message that I'm trying to send. I could be sending a message about manifestation, positive energy. I could be sending a message about the importance of creation and history in a certain place, sensuality. And so this is something I want to read two things.
Okay.
And one is to celebrate Black History Month. And this one is an awesome poem that I like to teach. It's just like a kind of like a beginning piece. And I kind of say it when I get into like a new teaching area or a new classroom of students.
Okay.
And it's also a sci-fi. I'm an avid gamer. So this is actually based on a poem, a spoken word piece that a video game character said in Mass Effect.
Okay.
Yeah. So she spit it out. I was like, yo, that was dope. So this is my gift of words. I offer a gift of words, an affirmation of who you are and who you will become. I see your skin, your energy, your power, tough, unyielding, a wall between you and everyone else. It protects you and makes you strong. That strength people are drawn to. That skin is why you lead and others follow without question. See the gift of your skin. You would need that leadership, vision, gift in the battles to come. This skin may be who you are, but it is not who you will become. It only forms the basis of your future greatness. Remember these words, your strength. Remember when doubt descends, I see your skin. Never underestimate the power of words. So that's just a little gift of words. It's kind of like an opening piece that I use to kind of like get the energy, kind of get people acclimated. And I just love sharing that the source came from a video game character. Mass Effect. I don't know, if you ever seen it or anyone's ever played. It's another sci-fi. So, I love my sci-fi. And this is See Me. And this is a piece that I wrote recently. I'll share the link, or if you go to my website, I have my WordPress, and it has an audio and it has a little bit of the information. So this is based on an original piece of art. If you can imagine, basically like a black man, his torso, you're seeing it from the neck to here, has a rope tied around his neck. He has all of these different markings that has little pieces of blood coming out, either like little wounds, some are bullet wounds, some are like cuts. And it was just a powerful piece. And so it's a part of the See Me, I Am Human Too movement that a friend that I found through virtual Zooms and creative workshops. And she presented this piece to me and wanted me to write some spoken word to it. She had heard me do spoken word in a Zoom. And so I'll share it. It's on my website. It's on my WordPress. But this is the spoken word piece that I wrote to that. And then we'll finish that out on this, Matt.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you, my friend. And thank you, Matt. Matt has always been such an awesome supporter. He supports my Patreon. I met him through virtual Star Trek groups as well. And I just love you, brother. Happy New Year. And thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And happy Black History Month to you. All right. So this is See Me. See me, see me, see me, see me surrounded by silence, by violence, by insensitivity. See me, hear me. I feel, I want, I see, actual sight, not imaginary. See me, I am human too. I deserve space. I must have freedom. See me wounded, in pain, hurt. I remember the injustice. I cannot forget. See me full of ancient knowledge, bathed in divinity. I am God. See me cut deep, flesh hooked. Tears and blood twist the soul to sink deep, choking on salt. See me transformed into the blackbird, struggle in the day, the torn soul echoing in the street. See me, see me, see me, see me. I am the son, the prince, the king pretending to be the lost, the slave. See me fly in hope. I walk with chains. I live in rope. I dream my own reality. See me reborn, then die, rebirth, then kill. See me drown in cycles. See me breathe, still believe. See me sleep and awake, sleepless, shame, tired of his bed. I hate sleep to this day. See me protected, blessed, fulfilling my purpose. To stop me is to stop the world. See me refuse attachment to the negative. I am ready to show who I am and what I have to offer. See me let go. See me focus. See me breathe love and joy today. See me, see me, see me choose to be calm, choose to face conflict, choose courage. See me alive, survive, develop, adapt, thrive. See me create, learn, educate, invent, seek, and combine. See me be taken, confused, set against, thought of as a nuisance. See me jive, accept, submit, and be crushed, become a part. See me integrate and divide. See me tied to time's abstract sense of humor. See me resist and be burned, be chased and dispersed, strategically misplaced. See me, see me, see me, see me now. I am here for a reason. I am life. My time on earth limited and the universe unlimited. See me ready, grounded. Outside energies, I am indifferent, no distraction. See me commit to action. Break bondage, break bread, break ground to the road ahead. See me restrained and on the run, feet forward, hands backward, more fear than fun. See me separated, roots run deep, my blood shows me the way. See me, I am enough, not myth, not nothing. See me, my greatness, my drive, my magic. See me, see me, see me, see me infinite. Pierce my skin, the flesh is a veil for the cosmos within. See me taste helplessly, gloom, chaos, crumbs and dust of morality. See me unprotected, shrouded by the shadows of the many thousands gone. See me in great mountains, in the depths of oceans, in hieroglyphs, the cultures of all. See me thrown beyond the threshold into the worst, my spirit buried in the grave at birth. See me pay for identity, sell off offspring, invest in fruitless tables. See me double as an outcast and violator, the defeated beast, boy man, 8th generation immigrant. See me, see me, see me, see me fear reality, experience daily weights, show society's rot, pus, hate, guilt, and filth. See me break eternity's grip, rewrite the stars' alignment. See me explore what should not be there, push the rim of what has been. See me warp systems to set ancestors and grandchildren free. See me call wind and water, earth and black. What was broken will come back. See me getting stronger, principle and price, sending me upward. See me be the key, the linchpin, the cornerstone, the source of anxiety in the minds of the false masters. See me, see me, see me, see me, see me, see me.
That's great.
Thank you, my friend.
Oh, thank you. All right. So we got to do like a little live long and prosper. Just a,
oh yeah.
And we'll call it good. And we
live
we can fade out with the vibrations of see me.
Absolutely.
See me.
Pranakasha production. Fantastic creations emerging spontaneously from the space of life. For the benefit of all beings everywhere. We gotta change.